If you love Mexican food and you love cornbread, put those hands together because you're going to love today's recipe. I'm so excited to share with you this Mexican cornbread casserole. It is a fun twist on comfort food. You're going to love this recipe. It is packed with flavor. Hi, I'm Carrie with eatingonadime.com, and you're going to find today's full recipe linked in the description below. We're on a mission to help families eat well on a budget with easy, simple, but flavorful foods that aren't going to rack up that grocery bill. Have you had a Mexican cornbread casserole before? If you have, let me know in the comments, or if you think this sounds delicious. I think this is a recipe that you're going to want to make on repeat because it's so easy to make. Let's get started. First, preheat the oven to 375 degrees. In a large skillet, we are going to heat it up over medium-high heat and brown 1 pound of ground beef. Now, I love my meat separator. I don't know what it's called, but I love this tool. I can't stand when I make a recipe with beef and the beef is like in big, large chunks. I kind of like it ground up and just kind of mixed in, especially when you're doing a casserole. So this really helps out. So just do it a little bit, and then we're going to let it brown, and then we're going to come back and do it again, and that's when we'll get it in the smaller pieces after it started cooking. While that is browning, we're going to go ahead and chop up our veggies. So we are going to chop up 1 whole onion, and today, excuse me, I'm going to cheat and use my food chopper. Man, talking is difficult today, friends. I'm so glad you're on here. Hold me accountable. The food chopper is great because all you got to do is just peel it and cut it into quarters. Woo! I think that's going to make you sneeze. Excuse me. Okay, and then you just throw it in here. I am just pushing it down in the center so we can get these beautifully chopped pieces. We will link this one or one similar. I actually have 2 now, and they're both great. I do kind of like this one a little bit more, but they both are fabulous. So they just make, like, look, I just chopped up a whole onion with only 1 sneeze, almost tear-free. I'm getting a few, but not a lot, in minutes. And then we're going to chop up a red bell pepper. So for the red bell pepper, I'm using my chopper again too. So I'm just literally just cutting off the sides just so I can fit it into my food chopper. Once that's done, then you just pop this in, slam it down. Sometimes if your bell pepper is really big, you'll have to cut it in half just to fit in here, but these are fitting perfectly. So that's why I love this thing, because I mean, look how fast I did that. And this is just ready to add to our ground beef. Now when the beef is getting browned, that's when you really use the chopper to go to town, and you'll get it in these nice, pretty little pieces. I had turned it off slightly just because it was getting a little cooked. So I'm going to turn the heat back on, and then we're going to add in the bell pepper and the onion that we chopped up. Now we're going to saute this until it gets nice and soft. Everybody say hi to Toby. He wants a bite. Then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, or you can do 2 cloves of fresh garlic that you've minced. Right now in my season of life, I love the pre-minced garlic, but I do love fresh garlic too, so I can totally see me actually mincing garlic once the house is completely clear and I'm not as busy on the weeknights. While those onions are sauteing, let's go ahead and drain and rinse our black beans. You're going to need 1 can. I just put it in a colander, and then I'm rinsing them completely off until the water runs clear, and that just gets that black gunk off of there. So that way, if you don't drain and rinse them, your whole casserole just becomes really dark and mucky, which is fine if you don't mind that. But I like taking the time just to rinse them off. It just makes the casserole so much prettier and tastier, in my opinion. After the onion and bell pepper have cooked for about 5 minutes, We're going to go ahead and add in those black beans. Then add in 1 can of diced tomatoes. I did petite diced tomatoes today, and 1 cup of corn. You can use frozen corn. You could also do some canned corn. If you do a canned corn, you won't need the whole can, which is why I like using frozen. And then we're just going to mix this all together. I also wanted to point out, if you've been watching for a while, you know that I'm obsessed with this spatula. It's like scoops, and you can like scrape the bottom of the pan. It has a wooden handle. I just love this. And then sprinkle in 1 taco seasoning packet. You can also use our homemade seasoning. We're going to mix this all together and let it heat through for just about 5 minutes. So we're basically just heating it through and making sure that taco seasoning gets mixed throughout the whole mixture so everything has that flavor in it. While that's simmering, let's go ahead and get our cornbread mix ready. You're going to need 1 cup of all-purpose flour. When you measure your flour, make sure you don't pack it in. You just kind of scrape it off. And 1 cup of cornmeal. Add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a half a teaspoon of salt. There's some moisture in the air. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, or you could do olive oil as well. 1 egg. Now, in my recipe, technically it says to separate the dry and the wet ingredients, but you guys know me. I have a whole club called the Lazy Cooking Club, so I like to do things as easy as possible, and that's what we're doing today. And then 1 cup of milk, and we're going to stir this all together until this is well combined. You could do it with a hand mixer or a whisk, but I just like using the spatula. It doesn't take long, just takes a few minutes for the cornbread to combine. Make sure you're scraping the bottom to get the flour and the cornmeal off of the bottom, and scraping the sides to get it all mixed together. Lumps in your cornbread is completely okay. In fact, you don't want to over mix it, so don't panic about lumps. You can leave those in there. And now this is optional, but I'm obsessed with it. We're going to add in 1 fresh jalapeno diced up into the cornbread mix. You don't have to do that, but if you want to, I highly recommend it. Or you could also mix in like canned diced jalapenos as well. Don't include the juice, just kind of drain it off and dump in a tablespoon, probably, or 2, just to get it a little extra kick. If you don't like the kick, you don't have to do that, but I like that. Now we're going to let that cornbread just sit. I always let my cornbread sit before we cook it, so we're going to push it to the side while we assemble everything. My filling is ready, so we're going to put this in the bottom of a 9x13 pan. I didn't spray it or anything. I don't really think you need to when it has all this yummy juice. And then we're just going to, let me move this out of the way. And then we're just going to spread this out to fill the pan. Next, we're going to top it with 1 cup of shredded cheese. I am doing a sharp cheddar cheese. You could do a Mexican blend. You could do Colby Jack. I mean, pretty much any kind of cheese you'd put on your taco would be great for this. I also highly recommend you shred your own cheese and not do pre-shredded cheese. It melts better. It tastes better. I don't know, guys, if you've seen that video on social media that goes around, but I just saw it the other day and I was mind blown. They put shredded cheese into a strainer and like poured water all over it and had a bowl underneath it. And the bowl was like, you couldn't see through it. It was just all white with all the stuff that they put on the pre-shredded cheese just to make sure it doesn't stick. So just spend a few minutes, guys, and money saving tip, it's actually cheaper to buy the block. You don't think it is, but then when you actually do the math, it actually is way cheaper. So I'm just going to, and it tastes better. Taste test. Yeah, that's good. So we're going to measure it in a cup, about a cup. I like to pack my cheese in just because, you know, everybody wants more cheese instead of less cheese. And then we're just going to sprinkle this cheese right on top. I'm going to go ahead and just finish off all the cheese I already shredded over here and just put it right on top. Again, my personal taste is the more cheese, the better. Now we're going to top it with the cornbread mixture. I'm just going to gently spread it all out so we can get it all over the top. I feel like it's not the easiest to spread out, so that's why you kind of want to do it mostly when it's in the bowl, so you can get a little bit, it's almost like putting little dollops everywhere. Then it'll make it easier. So if you just try to pour it in the middle, it's not going to be as friendly for you. Then as you can see, it's mostly covered. So now we're just going to use a spatula to kind of spread it out to the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect because cornbread does spread, but we want to just make sure we're going to get a little bit of cornbread in every single bite. Because you got to remember, this cornbread is going to soak up all the yummy flavors in the bottom. Ooh, it's going to be so good. Now we're going to place this in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes until the cornbread is golden brown and a toothpick comes out clean. Look at it. It's beautiful. Now we have a nice golden brown color, but we have to check with the toothpick. Carefully check and see if it comes out clean. It looks really good. I know it's probably hard to see, but I'm not seeing anything ooey and gooey, so I think we're finished. Now remember, I want to show you, if you go all the way through, you could get a little bit of orange on the bottom, but remember, that's just the filling, not the cornbread. Now we're going to remove from the oven and we're going to let it cool for 5 to 10 minutes before serving. Friends, we already dug into it. We couldn't wait. It's so good. You're going to love it. But let me show you, just scoop it out. I mean, come on. Beautiful, the layers, the flavor. Okay, so let's do a little chatting before I dig in, because you know that's my favorite part. And once I start digging in, I'm not going to be able to stop. A few things to note. This is like a regular cornbread mix. So here in Oklahoma, I don't know if we're considered the South or the Midwest or wherever you consider Oklahoma to be, we like sweet cornbread. And by we, I mean me. So let me know below, do you like sweet or regular cornbread? This is regular cornbread, but we did include in the recipe that you can add 2 tablespoons of sugar or 2 tablespoons of honey into that mix and mix it up, and it will make it slightly sweet. If that's your personal preference, I think that would be delicious as well. We figured the majority of people would not want it to be sweet because of the Mexican flavor, but this is very good the way it is. But I wanted to point that out because if I were to make this again, I probably would add a little sugar or honey. That's just, you know, the Oklahoma way. So, okay, let's dig in. Let's get a bite. That was really good. Thanks so much for joining me, friends. I hope that you're inspired to make something really easy but super fun. This recipe, remember, you can grab the full recipe, nutritional information, all of our tips and tricks, all linked below in the description. Plus, you can always get free family-friendly recipes by going to eatingonadime.com. Now, before we head out, I just want you to envision yourself, because I am all about the fall and football. And can you imagine people coming over to watch football and this is what you serve them? And they're going to be shocked because it was so easy to make. But I could just see me sitting in my comfies enjoying this while watching a good game. Okay, friends, I'm out of here. Thanks so much for joining me. In the meantime, before our next recipe video, don't forget to eat at home by eating on a dime. Bye, friends.